Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
We all have our own networking journey, and I have a lot of fun listening to other people's networking journeys. And we come to them in different ways, and we come to them with different necessities, if you will, and we have a lot of different outcomes. And so I'm always keen to share stories of people's journeys and people's outcome with respect to networking, how they came into it, and what they use it for. In recent months, I was introduced to our guest today, Brenda Ryan. She's the founder and publisher of the Referral Resource Guide, and we'll talk about that. But as part of that, just the story as to how Brenda has built this global guide, if you will, that provides people connection to, or enlightens people on the businesses out there that are, as she puts it, proven, trusted, and credible. So welcome to the program, Brenda. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me today, Frank. Appreciate it.
Now, we'll get into the guide. I guess, how did you get to the guide? I mean, you didn't go to college and say, I'm going to put this guide together. There
wasn't a degree.
No, there wasn't a degree, but it came about. And if somebody had known you, I don't know, 20 years ago, they would have never suspected that, okay, this is where this person's headed.
You're right. Yeah. So my degree, guidance and counseling and education. That's where I was. That was my career. That was my experience. And then my son had graduated from Baylor University, double degree in business, started working for a guy that published advertising. One day said to me, "Mom, you ought to publish some advertising." Well, instead of saying what I think I would have normally said, like, "I've got a career, why would I do that?" I feel God intervened in that conversation before it even started, because I said, "I wonder who I'd advertise for." And I look back at that conversation and it just seems odd to me. That's what I would say. And he said, "So many people." Well, yeah, I was born and raised in Fort Worth, Texas. Same church all my life, chairperson of my graduating class. I go have happy hour with friends from kindergarten still. I don't know. I just don't lose connections over time, because I'm here and I still see them. They're still here. All the people in my church that I grew up with, and they're all over the place, but I'm still here. And, and in the moments after he said, so many people, God kind of planted in my head and heart, the name of my company is Connections Publishing, for connecting people. And then a portion of the proceeds was going to go to World Hunger. Needed to give back, I guess. And then it was only going to be by referral, because that's part of my DNA. Why would I advertise for people that I don't think are going to take care of my family, my friends, and all these people in my community, wherever my community is? So it just made so much sense, as though I was naive enough to believe it. I went out and started talking to people, describing this great idea in my head, and they gave me money, trusting me back, and I was able to produce the first one. And not being part of the business world, it never occurred to me I would need a website, but the designer I found in Office Max or whatever, and he freelanced to the side, he said, "Okay, now you need a website." And I said, "What for?" I was just coming from nowhere. I didn't have any T's crossed, I's dotted. I was just running out there chasing what new way I could help people in large ways, rather than in small individual group ways that I had done in the past. So that's kind of the short version of how that all came about. But the fact that I've I've always been in relationship with people. I mean, I've got great neighbors. They call on me. I've got great people that ask me for help all over the place, wherever I am. And then there's everybody else that, like 3,500 people that have requested a copy of the print, which I do to help people continue to remember. Don't go to Google. Don't do any of that, because anybody can say they're trusted, but
Right.
not to ever, know who they are, by at least vetted by somebody. Well, it turns out I filled in a gap and didn't know there was a gap. So it just seemed like the only way I'd ever do something like that. And then the whole global aspect came up later. I mean, I could keep talking. You just ask me questions,
No,
whatever
well,
you want
it's,
me to.
yeah, well, I didn't want to interrupt you, but it sounds like you're unique in that you just connect with people, and you really didn't. Some of us connect, okay, I'm going into business, I'm going out there to network, and you were just kind of like, I am, and I know people, and I like people, so I'm going to be connected to people, and the good things came to you, whereas there are other people where they were um, more intentional about it. I guess they took a different road, but ended up in the same place. You took a different road and ended up in the same place, and so it can work. It's just,
Definitely.
staying connected. And there's probably people who would say, "Oh, geez, Brenda, you stayed within a stone's throw of where you've lived your whole life. You're not really connected." And it's like, arguably, there's an argument for that, but the people around you have changed, and you have tapped into all those changing people.
And grew a family,
Yeah.
became
Well,
a grandmother. I mean, the whole thing.
yeah, but having a family, it's your daughter, right?
Daughter and son.
Okay, they're, I'm guessing, but when they were in school, you're meeting the other parents, right?
Oh
There's
yeah.
the PTA, there's, all
I
these
still
different networks.
I still know all of those people too, because I don't know, when I just don't. I have no need to not be connected to people, a certain person. I was teaching I was teaching kindergarten Montessori, say 25 at least years ago, and before I started this, and I had a mother see me in a Macy's and comes running up to me. Oh, it's so good to see you again. She called me by my old married name,
Okay.
and I was going, I didn't recognize her, but she recognized me. And that was the second time that happened for her kindergartner that's now, graduating, well, is in college. And I'm going, oh my gosh, so things like that that are just so, God, they're so joyful to know that there was enough positivity in the relationship that they still remember me. And I get hugged and, thanked and all that kind of stuff. I just feel like relationships, both in life and in business, are just indispensable. You have to. I mean, why would you not? Why, except, there's some people that I don't feel necessarily I'm an extrovert, but I guess, some people would say I am. I mean, I like to listen. A counselor likes to listen
Yeah.
and observe and do stuff like that. But at the same time, I I just want to make sure people are okay. I want to make sure that if my little retired um, lady in church needs a plumber, I want to be sure that she lets me know, like she has, whether it's plumbing, air conditioning, handyman stuff, or now it's an electrician that I need to referral I need to get to her. But that's on the local scale. I mean, I've got car repair, I've got restaurants and that kind of thing. But on the larger scale, I have all these other amazing people that I've met. Once the pandemic hit, everybody went to Zoom, and I discovered what Zoom was, and I've been all over the place now and in relationship with people that can that wanted to, for this girl from Germany that wanted to advertise in the States because her products here. And I mean, I don't limit anybody. The only limits I have is the intentionality of the person I'm promoting and representing, because that's what
Right.
I'm doing. And as long as they fit the criteria of wanting to serve the community, wherever it is, with dignity and with respect, to make the world a better, safer, and more peaceful place, I'm on board. It's a shared vision, and that's what I'm after. People that care.
What's the most unusual thing you've had in the referral resource guide, or
Hmm.
a couple unusual things?
Well, I'll tell you what happened once.
And you can mention names, although that's
Yeah,
free advertising for them, but whatever.
yeah. Well, I'll mention this because I was telling the story to this girl that wants to talk to me at an in-person networking group I went to today. Um, that once upon a time I was talking to this guy, liked him, real nice guy, and but he didn't seem to have any excitement in what he was talking to me about. I was going to advertise for him. I was happy to, I always get excited about what I can offer the community. And I said, "You don't seem to be so fired up about it." And he said, "Well, I'm really not." And I said, "Well, what are you thinking about? Are you going to do something else? I mean, what do you want to do?" And he said, "Well, my partner and I are talking about this company we'd like to start." I said, "Do you have a name for it?" And he goes, "Yeah, we're getting it all together." I said, "Well, what is it?" And he said he wanted to meet people that were creating inventions so
Mm.
that he could help them market it and even maybe put it together, whatever, whatever. Oh my gosh, his eyes got big. He was fired up. And I'm going, okay, what if we go ahead and get you started with that business? Okay, what do you think about that? He hadn't thought of it. That's what appeals to me, is my ability to hear somebody really care about this thing. And I know there's people out there, in his case, that I've had them. I mean, I've had ideas about creating things, uh, and apparently I did. I did, although I can't say that I even had a thought of the referral resource guide. I'm talking about filling in for things made, like
Right.
inventions. And but and so he took off, and people that remembered him in the guide, still, even the designer that at that time said, what is his name? What's his number? And I'm still giving that out for people that remember him. He hadn't been in there in a while, but it's just kind of cool. I find that so interesting and exciting. I wish I could tell you uh, give you, well, I love my longest advertiser. And I was just texting with him today, 16 and a half years. Well,
Wow.
actually 17. Yeah. And it's a
And
six.
still going? Is it still
Oh
going?
yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
it's an automatic renewal every
Okay.
time. It's full page ad in the print version, but of course it's on the website as well. And but the thing about it is, what he likes and what his company likes is the fact that it's the only store in Texas. And some of your viewers might know this, or listeners might know this, because they've got 19 stores nationwide, this one restaurant. And I've helped make this one number one, the one in Texas in Fort Worth. And so it's Charleston's, and it is like an automatic renewal. And I talk to him a lot, and every time I'm fixing to go in and bring somebody with me, "Are you there? I want to introduce you to somebody else." Because I don't know why I've got this. I don't know what this is about, but every time I know people, I want them to know everybody else.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you, Frank. You like everybody to know everybody you know that.
Yeah.
Uh,
We're not brokers. A
no,
broker sits in the middle and is gonna be the go-between for conversations. We're matchmakers, right? Here, you two take it, right? You know, you and Julie just make it
yeah,
happen. Just
yeah, yeah.
you know, and
And you have done such a wonderful, you've introduced me to some wonderful people, even local, that I wouldn't have known out of Dallas.
yeah,
And I was there last Friday for a summit, which was so cool. And me being able to get in relationship with people from the area that I already didn't know, because I know so many people here, is such a blessing, because then I can let them know about something that's happening even in Dallas, that they might not know about because I know
Yeah.
these other people. So if I can just bring people together, because they're all wonderful. I mean, people that aren't wonderful don't hang around long.
Yeah.
It's too much. It's just not what they care about.
Yeah. No, it's yeah, I think there's a tremendous power in being that matchmaker as opposed to the broker. Because when you're in the broker, things get missed. Right. I might introduce you to somebody and it's like, well, I'm introducing you for X and that's on my mind. And why never comes up, and why may be the thing that's just ignites the whole relationship. It's like, oh, I didn't realize. Oh my gosh, I could really help you there. But as a broker, I'm not seeing that. So
Well, and that's the cool thing because I consider myself somebody that kind of springboards. If you tell me one thing and then we're talking about a million other things too, which you and I have,
yeah,
uh, it I hear those things. I guess that's part of the counselor in me, and I want to explore that a little bit more. And that's what happened to me this morning. And this girl sat next to me in person, and she said, well, I'm looking for some mortgage lenders. And I gave her a whole slew. I showed her my phone. I said, well, here they are. I don't know how many, about 20 or so. Because
right.
like I said, I don't delete anything. And but then she started looking at the print, and I showed her the website. And she said, but I might want to talk to you about something else. I said, and she got, those eyes got big again. And I went, I know that, I know what's going on here. And so she let me know she was doing something else. So I like to listen for those things and look
Yeah,
for those things when I'm in the presence of somebody.
yeah. No, I think that's neat. You get all over the greater Dallas Fort Worth area.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mainly Fort Worth because this is where I am. Dallas is another, you know, with traffic, it could be an hour, hour and a half, but
Sure. Yeah.
outside of that, it's only about 30 miles. It's just what all's between me and that, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
over there. But yeah, but this is something else I think that I had to discover, and that is, how do I get out of my own way? Because I felt like in the beginning, I thought it was only a Fort Worth, Texas thing. And then I started meeting people all over the place, and I was going, what do I do with people other places and that? And finally it dawned on me, well, the advertiser, the person that I'm representing, can let somebody know if that's out of their jurisdiction or out of their service area or
Yeah.
whatever, rather than me trying to figure out, is this a Fort Worth thing? Is it a Fort Worth, Dallas thing? Is it a United States thing? Is it a global thing?
Yeah.
They can talk to each other and figure that part out. And so I had asked that question to an expert panel. I know I'm doing air quotes, but and they didn't even understand what I was talking about. How do I get out of my own way? And since then, when somebody's asked me that, I know how to help them, and because I've experienced that. So there's growth opportunities in allowing your vision to enlarge itself
Right.
to whatever extent that anybody perceives themselves with being on board with the people that I can connect them to, because you don't ever know who can use what. And that's the beauty of that's the way it's been for the last 21 years. I've just allowed the breathing of the whole thing to happen, and me not trying to figure out who belongs with who, and because I don't know what's in everybody's
Yeah.
heart and
Yeah.
spirit. So
Well, and if the second you try to guess those things, you're wrong, or you're missing something, or a whole host of things. But let's shift gears. Let's talk about the resource guide. I know we've been kind of talking about how many pages is it? The
well,
print.
it's 48 at this point,
Okay.
44. I fluctuate between the two.
Sure.
But yeah, it's a 6-month guide, and I mail it out to people that request it. I won't spam anybody because I don't feel like that has any integrity. I won't buy a zip code. I won't do anything like that. I have to reflect what it is, and that's who I want to be. And it's free. Nobody has to pay for it, but I don't want to. I don't want to mail it to people. Like I get junk. I get all kinds of
Yeah.
magazines in my mailbox and I throw them away because I didn't ask for it. And I don't appreciate it, don't value it. In fact, um, I, I, I just feel like it's the wrong thing to do. So, and then I've got a website with even more people on it that's in the current guide the print that's being mailed out. So, because I'm always working usually in 3 guides at once. The one that is just now coming to an end, the one that's fixing to come out, and then the one that's going to come out in the spring or whatever it is. So, um, there's more, but the website is where you can find out the why behind everybody and the what makes them want to serve and who they are, and because I love the story, that's the joy I get out of it. And because I already know they're going to take care of people, I got that covered. But for you all to know the what's behind them, what makes them feel the need to do what they're doing. Like I feel the need and the purpose of doing what I'm doing as
Right.
well as you. So
Is the guide mainly advertising? Are there articles in there or anything like that?
no articles. I don't have space, and the bigger I make it, the more expensive it is for me to
Sure.
mail. I
Yeah.
used to have filler space, but I don't have that anymore. I pack them in and close it up and send it out.
Sounds good. Good way to get a hold of you through your website, the referralresourceguide.com.
Yeah, that's a way. I mean, Brenda at the Referral Resource Guide is okay, and just call me direct if anybody wanted to. But yeah, there's a flip guide in the website that does have my phone number in it. If somebody wanted to see that, but yeah, if anybody wants to get a hold of me, I'm on LinkedIn too. I don't do business on Facebook so much, but I
Yeah.
do have a business page there. But yeah, that would probably whatever's easiest for anybody.
All right. It's Brenda Ryan 33 on LinkedIn. So
That's right. Oh,
pretty,
you know.
I know. Yes.
As
Uh,
you know, I am unalignable. I'm just more visible on LinkedIn.
yeah. Well, I think that's where you and I met, or maybe not, but we since we met, we've been connecting in lots of different places, had lots of
That's
different calls. And
that's true.
just so our listeners know, this is our second time trying to record this. The first time we tried to record, we got halfway. Well, you and I had about a 45-minute conversation just catching up, then tried to record and ran into a technical snafu, whatever it was. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was thinking about that. It's like, if we wouldn't have chit-chatted in the beginning, we'd have got it done. But we chit-chatted and that was good. And you got me thinking about somebody I needed to introduce you to. And
That
so
time.
it all worked out. It always
It
works out.
it does. I love it. And when two minds think alike and then you start, as I call it, springboarding off of one thing and then another,
Yeah.
that's what's exciting. And I love to do that with I call, but see, even I started to say friends, but yeah, that's true. But then advertisers and people I meet along the way are friends too. So
Yeah.
it's not just limited to the people that I've known. It's all the excitement of meeting new people and getting to know and being able to text back and forth like you and I do, or jump on a call or whatever. And I'm nowhere near you. I don't even
Yeah. Yeah.
which is the beauty of technology, as it were. I didn't know anything about Zoom before the pandemic, or
Yeah.
even thinking outside this box that I'm in, here in Fort Worth. And it was good while it lasted. I mean, that was about, I don't know, well, whatever 19 was before 20 happened. And so,
Yep.
but I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. I mean,
Yeah.
as long as we have to have a pandemic, if there can be a few bright spots in that, I would never have known you,
Yeah.
even all these years later,
Yeah.
had that not happened. So anyway,
Yep.
I'm grateful.
Well, I appreciate your time today.
I appreciate you inviting me. Thank you, Frank.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.